Good evening, everyone. I hope I am audible to all of you. Before we go forward, let me introduce myself. I am Simranjit Singh from SprintUPSC. SprintUPSC is India's first bilingual, analytical-driven test preparation platform. What is SprintUPSC? What is our test prep methodology? We will come later on. So before we start with our webinar, recently UPSC 2020 result has been out. Some of you who have given examination and not cleared may be feeling demotivated. One thing I can say with 16 years of my experience, that this is a make or break time. Either you can console yourself or you can work for UPSC 2021. Remember guys, most great people have achieved their greatest success just one step beyond their greatest failure. So it is very important to analyze what you have done in UPSC 2020, and for new students who are paying for UPSC 2021, they should take key learnings from UPSC 2020 paper. It's very important. So in today's webinar, we will be addressing few things. Guys, I will be speaking in English and Hindi. In between, मैं हिंदी में भी बोलूँगा so that I can address to our larger audience. So let's start with our webinar. So our webinar agenda would be, firstly, we will decode UPSC 2020 at higher level. As you know, we cannot discuss all 100 questions in this short webinar. For those things, we need another 3 to 4 hours. So we will be taking few examples of UPSC 2020 and we'll see how it is important for UPSC 2021 preparation. Then we will go for key learnings from UPSC 2020 exam and also the preparation strategy and books needed for UPSC 2021 prelims. Then we will come to our test preparation methodology. Remember guys, one thing, UPSC has one unofficial motto: expect the unexpected. What we call ETU. Remember this fact. एक बात समझ लीजिए आप, बहुत importantly, UPSC चाहती है कि आप unexpected paper के लिए तैयार हैं. Because this is all about civil servants. They want officers to be flexible rather than geeks. Or what we can say in Hindi, rattebaj. They don't need people who can mug up things and clear the examination. This is not any SSC examination, guys. Secondly, I have got lot of queries that people say that one has to start preparing for mains, then prelims is the last 2 months game. It is not. From past 5 to 6 years, we are saying that UPSC is becoming unpredictable. You cannot just remember the notes or gist from any institutions and you will think that you will be able to clear. Does not work like that. UPSC में mugging वालों के लिए कोई जगह नहीं है. You have to do smart work, but it should be smart hard work. Sooner you will realize this thing, better it would be. So let's start with our webinar. Our first section will be the decoding of UPSC 2020. So guys, why we need this decoding? It's very important you to analyze firstly the UPSC 2020 previous year question, and definitely you should go all previous year questions for last 5 to 10 years. See, in this session I already told you we cannot discuss all 100 questions. That you can go through our website and log into our dashboard, or you can download our app and attempt each question of UPSC 2020, and in explanation you will find the references and links from where the data is from, and that is very important. Each question has an explanation which is traceable to the original source, whether it's books or newspaper articles or government websites. So let's start with our first UPSC 2020 decoding. It will be at higher level. As you can see, one can see from diagram the number of questions subject wise. So every institution has its own subject-wise analysis. Just it's for reference. Some institutions take current affairs of geography under geography subject. But what we have done in our analysis is that we have taken current affairs, specifically those questions which have come from newspaper, government website, and which are not present in standard books or NCERTs. So guys, remember, never think that whatever the subject-wise percentage, it will remain as it is in next year and also in previous year. It doesn't happen in UPSC like this. UPSC में अगर इस साल स्टैटिक साइंस का एक क्वेश्चन पूछा है तो दैट डजंट मीन कि वो अगले साल भी एक ही क्वेश्चन आएगा. इस बात को समझना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. दो वी हैव गिवन यू द सब्जेक्ट वाइज एनालिसिस, बट आई टेल यू it's very important that you analyze each subject and its distribution within the topics and book wise. That is more important than the subject wise analysis. I tell you, when we used to give UPSC exam, on lighter note, मैं इतना बुरा नहीं हूं, but I'm talking about 13-14 years back. At that time, ancient history, we used to leave that subject because hardly 1-2 questions used to come in that examination. But see now, if you see in the diagram, total history questions were 19, out of which ancient history questions were 9. 9% means 9 out of 100, 9 questions. And all were very hard. So what you need to analyze or decode UPSC 2020 is that you cannot attempt all 100 questions. You need to correct all your static component. And you cannot go wrong in that, especially in easy and medium level question. See, in the difficulty level, if you see easy and medium, around 49% were the total, that is approximately 49 questions, which means 98 marks were totally in your hand. If you have read the books thoroughly, the one could have done these questions correctly. And out of rest 51% hard. Through elimination method, one can easily make out 8 to 10 questions. And then it would have been a UPSC for you, a cakewalk. So, we will study ahead what are the problematic statements, what are the key learnings. So, let's go through each subject-wise analysis. And in this section, we will analyze the number of questions from each subject, correspondingly the books and topics, and its difficulty level. Simultaneously, I will be taking subject-wise strategy for UPSC 2021 Prelims. So guys, in this slide, you can see in polity, this year 14 questions came up. Out of which, if you see, in book section, there were total 3 questions from NCERTs, 2 questions from second ARC, what we call Administrative Reform Commission reports, and 9 questions were from Lakshmikant Indian Polity. And if you see the difficulty level, there were approximately 6 easy questions, 4 medium questions and 4 hard questions. We are given in the percentage, but I am telling you the actual number. And various topics they have covered out of, so polity has 75 topics approximately, and around 8 to 10 topics they have covered this time. So it's very important that being polity, you need to correct all these 14 questions. And why I say, because all these questions, you can trace the answers, the explanation from all the standard books, which we call NCERTs, Lakshmikant Indian Polity and ARC reports. So the next question which comes into the lot of people's mind, how to prepare this subject. So preparation strategy for 2021 polity would be, firstly, you have to go through all NCERT books, especially class 9th and 10th. Though it is more about storytelling, but it will clear your basic concepts. who are the people who are from engineering background or science or medical field, who have read these polity books maybe in class 8 or 9th. It's very important that you have to start reading these books and keep making your concise notes. Remember guys, don't take any notes available on the net. It's very important that you have to make your own notes. So we have given a diagrammatical representation how polity has to be covered. First you will go for NCERT class 9 Democratic Politics, then NCERT class 10 Democratic Politics 2, then you will go for NCERT class 1 Indian Constitution and Work. And this is very important book. For example, it have very important chapters like federalism, legislature and executive. And it will give you broader understanding about the various institutions present in our political system. Then, what we call the Bible of Polity is the Indian Polity by Lakshmikant. Remember guys, you have to revise it again and again and practice as many questions as you can. For my people who are from Hindi background, एक बात समझ लीजिए कि ये जो diagrammatical representation हमने आपको दी है, ये step by step है. पहले आप NCERT क्लास 9 करेंगे, फिर 10, फिर 11. वहां पे आप अपने नोट्स बनाते बनाते you will go with the Lakshmikant and you will revise chapter again and again and practice as many questions as you can. And see, one good thing about polity is that most of the question one can attempt and they are most scoring subject. So one cannot go wrong while attempting these questions. Though after Lakshmikant Indian Polity, you have to do ARC reports, but it's a big chunk, total 15 reports. And it is very tough to read the whole chunk. But what one can do is just read the last page of each report where the recommendations are given. And then you can attempt a good source of MCQ report wise if you can get it from net. And if you don't, you can just log in our portal. We have made each report MCQ wise questionnaire for you. And revise all these reports and start attempting those questions. So I want to take few examples from UPSC 2020 to understand why polity is very important. So this is our look of dashboard. I will come later on how SprintUPSC have done it. So here we will go previous year paper. Then we will go for UPSC 2020. So let's start with some easy question of polity. The Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha, and there were 4 options. The matter of creating all India services, amending the constitution, the removal of government, and making the cut motion. So the answer was it's a textbook approach. It's very easy. One can see this question is directly from NCERT. So you can see the explanation and you can directly link it to the NCERT. In even the Lakshmikant Indian Polity has covered this data. So if you have gone through these books, it would have been a very easy for you to attempt this question. Similarly, another question. Which one of the following categories of fundamental rights incorporates protection against untouchability as a form of discrimination? So it is just they are asking the article 17 comes under which category of articles, rights, that is right to equality. And if you see the answer and see the references below, if you can see it, that each question and explanation is being tagged. Like Lakshmikant Indian Polity, you can see this data there also in chapter Fundamental Rights. In NCERT class 9 Democratic Politics, chapter 5 Democratic Rights. Same data was available in NCERT class 11 Indian Constitution at Work, chapter 2 the rights in Indian Constitution. So that's why the importance of books come here. If you can do all these books and have a thorough study, you can never go wrong in your static subject. And that is more than enough to clear UPSC prelims. We will get We will show you in another slides how it is that you can only through static subjects can clear UPSC Prelims 2021. So let's see another one example, a little bit hard one. It's a medium to hard question. Consider the following statements. The Constitution of India defines its basic structure in terms of federalism, secularism, fundamental rights and democracy. Second statement is the Constitution of India provides for judicial review to safeguard the citizen liberties and to preserve the ideals on which the Constitution is based. Then if you see this question, it's a typical question one can answer from Indian Lakshmikant, Indian Polity by Lakshmikant sir. And in this, there's a chapter called Basic Structure of the Constitution and another chapter is Judicial Review. See, the question is very simple, but it's a tricky one. In first statement, it says, Constitution define the basic structure, which is incorrect. Because it was the Supreme Court judgment to Kesavandana Bharati case through which the basic structure doctrine was evolved. Originally, the Constitution of India never had the word or what we said that defined the term basic structure. So whenever the Constitution defines, you have to make sure that particular word is there in the Constitution. But it was not there. It was through only Kesavananda Bharati case that the Constitution, the basic structure doctrine was evolved. Similarly, in second statement, if it would have been the Constitution of India defines the term judicial review, it would have been incorrect. But see how the UPSC term, the one term, the Constitution of India provides for judicial review. And when we say provides, yes, judicial review as a terminology is not present anywhere in the Constitution of India. But definitely its essence in Article 13 or in other various articles of Supreme Court and High Court, the judicial review is clearly visible in the Constitution of India. So if you have read those books clearly and revise it again through MCQ mode, this question would have been a cakewalk for you. Guys, right now I am just giving you a sample of various questions through our web portal. Definitely there is a different design of our structure in mobile app. You can download our map and see those things. As I said, I won't be able to discuss all 100 questions. So you can log into our portal and go through UPSC 2020. So what we have done that for polity, it's very important that you go this step by step and read all those books. And I must say, to my 16 years of experience, it's sufficient. You don't have to go for notes, a gist or anything. You need to just concentrate on these books. Even if you are studying from various institutions, then every institution, every UPSC topper says these books are mandated and make it sure you complete these books wholeheartedly. So let's look into next subject. Economy. So guys, this year the economy, mostly the questions were approximately 9 were of medium level and 3 were hard level. So 12 questions were asked. But the beauty about economy is that all questions were traceable from NCERT, Amazing Indian Economy and RBI annual reports. If I leave one question which is from RBI annual report, it's tough to read. But then also 11 questions, you can easily attempt it and correct those questions if you have gone through books. These are the various topics, around 22 topics one has to cover in economy. You can see our website what all are the topics list. So these are the few topics this year they have covered. Definitely the agriculture is always UPSC first and foremost priority and hot topic. Same with you will see in geography and environment also. But the question arises how one should go for economy, because most of students find it very difficult to cover economy. Frankly, when we used to give paper, I'm from engineer background and I never understood economy. But now I can pretty sure that if you go through this strategy, it will be very cakewalk. So how economy has to be done? Economy के लिए आप समझ लीजिए कि again it is a step by step. Every step you have to follow from class 9th and 10th book. Again, it is a story narrative form, but it will clear your basic understanding about pre and post liberalization, 1991 reforms, and little bit of international economic scenario around the world. After that, 11th and 12th are very important to clear your concepts and terminologies, especially GDP, GVA, NDP, aggregate money supply, which this time the question was there. And all these concepts can clear from NCERT class 11 and 12. There's one more book which is very important. Somehow it is being missed here. That is Indian Economy Amazing. It is a very, very important book. They have around 20 to 23 chapters. And each chapter you have to do it and wholeheartedly revise it again and again. Because only then your concepts will be clear. You can clearly analyze your newspaper economy section. You can read the economic survey only when your concepts are clear. And you have to practice MCQs as much as you can. So let's see a few examples this year of UPSC 2020. So it was a direct NCERT question. Along with the budget, the finance minister also places other documents before the parliament, which include the macroeconomic framework statement. The aforesaid document is presented because this is mandated by which of the following. So what they are asking is, so guys, ये हमारा platform हिंदी में भी है, ये हिंदी में भी questions हैं. You can see the explanation in Hindi. Right now I'm just taking the English one. You can log into our portal and see the Hindi version also. So answer is it is a Fiscal Responsibility Budget Management Act. And if you see that answer and explanation section, you will find that it is the data is clearly visible in NCERT class 12th, Introductory Macroeconomic book, chapter 5, Government Budget and the Economy. So there are the three policy statements which are mandated by Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act of 2003. And the third one was the macroeconomic framework statement. Similarly, another question. And this is a textbook question. I would say one should not go wrong with this question. The gold tranche, the reserve tranche is referred to which of the following credit system or loan system or World Bank or Central Bank or WTO or IMF. So if you see that answer is definitely IMF, but it's a typical question from Indian Economy Amazing. One can do it from chapter 15, External Sector in India. We will take a little bit different question of economy, one more example. With reference to foreign direct investment in India, which one of the following is considered its major characteristic? Again, when I say the concepts are very important, the terminologies are very important. The gold tranche, FDIs, FPIs, what are these? How it affects you? Definitely all these concepts will be cleared from NCERTs and the standard book of Amazing Indian Economy. You don't have to go anywhere else, guys. So if you see that answer, this answer was directly from Indian Economy Amazing, chapter 9, Industry and Infrastructure. So as I said, the economy has to be done step by step, class 9th and 10th, then go with the 11th and 12th, and then you take Indian Economy is Amazing. Revise it through MCQ modes and practice as much as you can. So let's go to another subject is of geography. Total 11 questions were asked this year from geographic section, and out of which Again, the climatology and Indian resources were compiling about 8 questions, and Indian map and world map was 1 and Indian map was 2. But the beauty about geography was that all question one can answer it. Mostly out of 11, 9 questions were visible from the book. 5 directly from NCERT class 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. 3 were at least map-based question and 1 from Gaussian law. It's very important book. And the level of difficulty, definitely 9% easy means 1 question, medium 3 question and hard was 7. See, the beauty about geography as a subject is that it is assumed a significant part in all competitive examination. बहुत important है ये UPSC prelim के लिए नहीं, mains के point of view से भी. It is a vast subject dealing with the spatial association between individual, places, earth, and it broadly covers all spheres. If the approach to the subject is right, this is the most scoring optional that also helps in general studies paper. So firstly, how one has to approach NCERT is from class, what all books we needed is from class 6 to 12th NCERTs are mandatory. First you do from class NCERT of class 6 to 10. As you start reading class 6 to 8, that are most basic books, it will clear your concepts which you may have studied during your school days. Then in class 9 to 12, these are very important books and make a thorough notes of it. While reading these NCERTs, if you find any location, any currents, keep looking simultaneously in any good atlas. Take it any Oxford atlas or take the help of internet and mark it. I will tell you why it is important to marking the location. Before that, let's see one example from UPSC 2020. So this question, there was description about a crop and one has to identify that crop. It's a typical question from a book. The answer was cotton. One can find in NCERT class 10, the Contemporary India book, chapter 4, agriculture. As I said, agriculture is always UPSC soft corner, whether in current affairs, whether in environment, whether in economy, and whether in geography. They definitely ask questions about agriculture. So, another thing, you should have a habit of looking places where, what I have told you earlier, that whenever you read newspaper also, try to identify all those places in any good atlas and mark it, as it will clear your broader perspective about India and world. Why I am saying it? Let's see one of the example in UPSC 2020. So you must have read, there was a question about Siachen Glacier. Those people who are very new and preparing for UPSC 2021, Siachen Glacier पे question आया था and they were asking about the Siachen Glacier is situated at east of Aksai Chin, east of Leh, north of Gilgit and north of Nubra Valley. So this question, there was a news in November 2019 that 6 people, including 4 Indian Army personnel and 2 civilian porters, were killed 2 days ago in November 2019 after they were hit by an avalanche in the Siachen Glacier. And in this article in Economic Times, they have given the importance of Siachen Glacier for in India's point of view, line of control point of view and LAC point of view. So if you have a habit of reading newspaper and marking those questions, it was a cakewalk. Similarly, there was one more question about river flow and places. If you see that Mekong, Thames, Volga, Zambezi, all these rivers you will come across in these names in NCERTs. If one has a habit of looking into atlas, this question was very easy. But what happens generally, guys, we take a lot of notes. There are no dearth of information online courses, institution. But we forget what is important. and what is not. I'm again restraining that NCERTs and books are very important. So similarly, after you complete your NCERTs of geography, you have to go, you have to go then take another book of Gaussian Long. It will help you in clearing all the concepts regarding climatology, geomorphology, etc., weather, various concepts of hurricane, etc. And definitely you should have one good Oxford Atlas. Guys, before we go for the history and discuss it, there is incident I remember, same thing, a Siachen Glacier question on lighter note, that in KBC 11, there was a person called Sunoj Raj. He was an IAS aspirant from Bihar and he was the first crorepati of that season. So don't be demotivated if you cannot become an IAS aspirant. Maybe one of you guys become a crorepati in KBC. And there's one more example actually. I remember in KBC 2001, when I was in college days, a 14-year-old Mohan from Rajasthan was the first crorepati of that season. And you know who is he? He's presently an IPS officer in 2014 batch. So guys, your work is to work hard, smart work, result will follow you. So let's get back to our webinar. Before we cover history, I would like to cover environment section because it's related with the geography. So this year around total 15 questions were asked. Guys, environment is again very soft corner for UPSC. Every year there are 15, 10, 15, 20 questions from this section. And 7 questions, if you can see, are easily traceable directly from the book. So ICSE class 10th and 9th and Shankar IS book on environment. The level of difficulty, definitely there were no easy questions. All were from medium to hard. 7 were medium and hard were 8 questions approximately. But again, if you see the topic, agriculture was their soft corner again. Biodiversity, biotechnology, another is very soft corner for UPSC. They definitely, there is no paper in past 5 years, you cannot find a single question when they have not asked about agriculture, biodiversity or biotechnology, climate change. So it's very important that you need to understand how to prepare for this subject. So most of the paper is aligned with current affairs. Definitely this environment section is bit mix of current affairs and the static part. But if you see last year news section, they have taken a news and asked a static component of environment. So we will take a live example of environment question which have come up in UPSC 2022. Which of the following places are the most likely places to find musk deer in its natural habitat? Escort Wildlife Sanctuary, Gangotri National Park, Kishanpur Wildlife Sanctuary or Manas National Park. So definitely the answer was 1 and 2. But if you see its explanation, the particular question can be answered by reading Shankar IAS book chapter 11 Schedule Animals of WPA 1972 chapter. So guys, environment and geography sometimes overlap. Most of the NCERTs of geography will be covering few topics on environment too. But for specifically environment, the best source is to first read ICSE class 9th and 10th books. And after completing those books, you have to practice a lot of MCQs. And then you have to go to Shankar IAS book if you have a time. It's a bit huge book, but if you have time, you must do it. There's one more example about Shankar, from where the question was about the zero tillage agriculture. This same question, zero tillage concept of agriculture, one can find it in ICSE class 10 environmental education book, chapter 3, conservation and management soil. So that is very important, guys. Books are very, very important. So this is the way one has to do environment. First go to the class 9th, 10th and then go for standard books. Let's see another subject, that is history, and definitely the history this year was very hard. Even if you have read all those books, I must say that to attempt history question was very, very hard. Even the optional paper, the people who have taken optional in history may have attempted few questions, but it was not a cakewalk. But if you analyze properly, especially the ancient history, total questions were asked was 9. And you can easily trace 4 questions from Tamil Nadu first year, NCERT class 12th and our past one. And the rest 5 questions, definitely this year they have taken a new book called Upinder Singh book. We don't read it. And guys, make it sure that don't get into a trap of UPSC that this year they have asked this question of 5 questions from history of ancient earlier medieval India, Upinder Singh book, and you start reading this huge book and you complete it, and in next year, as I said, you ETU, expect the unexpected. There will not be a single question from this book. UPSC is like that. But what is important, you need to cover the standard books first, the mandatory book first. If you have time, yes, you can read those books for your fun sake, for your knowledge sake, but definitely you don't have to be a topper of UPSC Prelims. It's an elimination round. Your first and foremost aim is to clear and get more than 100 marks. So I will take one example of UPSC 2020. History question. So this was a question about religious history of India. And if you see, this question was easily traceable to our past one book, chapter 9. Even the data was clearly visible in NCERT class 12, themes in Indian history 1, chapter 4. Another Tamil Nadu higher secondary first year book, chapter 4, Jainism and Buddhism. So when I say you read all these books, definitely you will practice the MCQs chapter wise or topic wise. This question would have been a cakewalk. We have marked it a hard level question, but it would have been a cakewalk for you. Because what happened is, generally we have a habit of reading institutional notes or concise notes online, what are available. We miss the most important thing, the books. Because most of the people among you will be putting same effort, same time, but the result would not be there. The only difference between a hard worker and smart hard worker is that they follow standard sources. So let's see one more example of history, the hardest question which we think, and one don't have to attempt this question, frankly speaking. But I will tell you, if one has to go for the elimination method, how it would have been. It was about the Desha Katha written by the Shankarayam Ganesh Dioskar during the freedom struggle. So he was at the time of Bengal partition, he was writing a book, and he writes something about India, and there were the 3 statements. And this question was directly asked. If you see the source of this question, it was directly History of Modern India, Ishita Banerjee Dubey, page number 233. Now that doesn't mean that you read this book and complete 1000 pages and again 80 you expect the unexpected may or may not come next year. But just a wild guess, if someone has to have done his static part component good and he can take that risk, but firstly and foremostly you don't have to attempt these kind of questions. But if you have to think logically, a guy with a name Dioskar, a Marathi, but they were talking about Bengal. And if you see the third statement, if you can make it wrong, the third statement, your answer would have been 1 and 2 only. It's a wild guess that how come he is talking about the colonial tales, hypnotic conquest of mind, inspired the performance of the Swadeshi street plays and folk songs, and cannot be a region specific. Definitely no, he was talking about India at that time. So statement 3 was incorrect. And definitely you can take a video, but frankly speaking, you don't have to attempt these kind of question. कभी नहीं ऐसे क्वेश्चन आपको समझ लीजिए, अगर आपने बुक्स अपनी एनसीईआरटीज अगर अच्छी तरह की हैं, अगर फिर भी आपको क्वेश्चन नहीं आता, तो 99% लोगों को भी नहीं आता. You have to leave it and you have to test your instinct and gut that you are confident enough that you have covered your whole syllabus and you can leave those questions. So as I said, this year that ancient history was one of the toughest questions were there, and most of the questions were from Upinder Singh book History of Ancient India and Ancient and Early Medieval India. Again, does not mean that you start reading these books and all those things. The most important thing is to cover, and how to cover is that ancient history section is that first of all you have to go for our past 1 NCERT book. Then you cover NCERT class 12 themes in Indian history, and Tamil Nadu Higher Secondary first year is very important book. So they have written it very in a coherent manner. They have written this book, and again you practice as much MCQs as you can. So this year, though they have not technically asked any question from medieval India, but for medieval history again one has to do only NCERTs. R past 2, NCERT class 10 themes in Indian history part 2, and Tamil Nadu Higher Secondary first year. So Tamil Nadu Higher Secondary first year have 2 parts. The first section is ancient history and second section is medieval history. Similarly, art and culture is very important, not only for prelims point of view, it is very important as a mains point of view too. So in order to study art and culture, these are the following books which are mandatory. We have written on CCRT, Visual, Literary and Performing Arts. There's a book of class 11th and Introduction to Indian Art. And if you have time, one must do Nitin Sanghania book. It's a beautiful book written about art and culture, Indian art and culture. So guys, I have told you that in our time we were used to leave ancient and medieval history because the hardly 1-2 questions were come, but the scenario has changed. The UPSC is always unpredictable and they keep on changing the scenario. So even this year, the modern history, the question was not so easy. Only one easy question which you can attempt easily, and medium were 5, hard were 4. There were total 10 questions. But the beauty about the modern India is that, like in polity, there was a Bible called Indian Polity by Lakshmikant. Similarly, there is a Bible for modern history, is the Spectrum, Modern India. So 4 questions were directly asked from that particular book. And another book like Indian Struggle for Independence, Bipin Chandra, is again a story form, narrative form book. You can see 1 question, R past 3, 1 question. Again, I said history of modern India, though they have covered 1 question, Plasty to Partition by Shankar Bandyopadhyay and other sources. You don't have to do this question, understand? Next year, it won't be like that. So why you want to waste your time? Go for a standard book, Spectrum, Indian Struggle for Independence. If you have time, R past 3. It's very, very important. So for modern history, strategy. First of all, you have to do R past 3. Then you move into themes in Indian history part 3. Similarly, like Tamil Nadu book, higher secondary, second year, first year is for ancient and medieval history, the second year is for modern history. And if you have time, then you go for Bipin Chandra, or else you can just log into our portal and see chapter wise MCQ and practice it, and the explanation you directly can copy to the notes and make your own notes out of it. Then very important book, a Bible, which I say for modern history, is A Brief History of Modern India, Spectrum. So guys, this was the strategy of modern history. So till now we have covered a lot of things. Now we have left with science and definitely the current affairs. So science this year, the static part, only 1 question was asked, and that was directly from the NCERT. The topic, again, the cell basic unit of life. This is a soft corner for UPSC. And but remember guys, though they have not asked this year, that doesn't mean that same thing will happen next year and you leave science. See, in COVID, during lockdown, there are a lot of scientific terms are being thrown in the newspaper. In order to understand, one has to have a little background of science, especially for the arts background people. One should go through NCERT's class 6 to 10th, and which are very important for prelims. And then they have to move for physics, chemistry, bio class 11th and 12th. I'm pretty sure that next year the science will be the most important. Though in current affairs, the science and tech component was very huge. So don't leave this, because if the questions are directly from science, it will be the most going subject and you can easily clear it. Just read the standard books, NCERTs, it's more than sufficient for the science, and practice chapter-wise MCQs. Now the most interesting, most confusing, most elaborate part is current affairs. So if you see Google में search करो current affairs, बायजूस से लेके दुनिया जहान के all institutions are providing notes. Not only you can see in a Telegram, and a lot of information is available. But do you think by reading those compendiums or concise notes just 2 months before the examination, you can clear UPSC 2020? No. Or UPSC 2021, which is just 8 months from now. So this year, guys, there were 28 questions from current affairs, and all were medium and hard level, 10 medium, 18 hard. But if you see the content, the questions content, one has to go through daily newspaper reading, then only you can answer those questions. I will tell you why. Let's see one example. In this kind of question, especially, it was about cyber insurance, and it is not possible that one can, I doubt some of the institutions may have covered this topic, but one cannot answer and explain all these statements while reading the compendium or gist of these questions. If you see the source of this question, each and every line of cyber insurance, it was a time of in 2019-18 when a lot of companies, even HDFC, Ergo, ICICI, Lombard, they were coming with the cyber insurance policy, and everyone has its own terms and conditions. You cannot read all those conditions. And even each statement is from different newspaper. If you see that link of Live Mint, another was the link of theweek.in. Another link, moneycontrol.com. You cannot answer and you cannot read all those things. But remember, if you have a habit of reading newspaper daily, then the most of the things repetitive come in economic times, scientific, maybe scientific terms, or maybe these policies also they keep on discussing in economic section or in articles. So it's automatically stored into your memory. You don't have to mug up things. And if you start mugging up, then definitely it's very difficult to remember. Remember that passive learning without active participating won't solve your purpose. I will come to this point and explain in English and Hindi definitely, ताकि आप इस बात को समझ लीजिए कि खाली मगिंग ऑफ नोट्स और कंपेंडियम के साथ आप यूपीएससी करंट अफेयर्स नहीं कर सकते। और इस साल तो यूपीएससी 2020 ने प्रूव कर दिया कि मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है उन्होंने सारे इंस्टीट्यूशन के नोट्स रखे करंट अफेयर की, ये देखो साइड में, अब इसमें जो नहीं पूछा वो पूछते हैं। इफ यू सी वी हैव रेड आत्मनिर्भर, lot of Modi's visit internationally, what past 1-2 years have done through lockdown, COVID, anything. Hardly any questions was from there. Lot of terms were thrown to the economic term, long-term repo rate, etc. But nothing has come down. So I will explain. So the best strategy to cover current affairs is that firstly you need to do one standard book of Indian yearbook. It's a government publication every year. You need to read those books because this is the authentic data of various government schemes or various data of economic GDP, GPA, or maybe with the international scenario. Then you have to go through the economic survey. Guys, also I want to stress one more thing कि current affairs खाली एक साल के नहीं आपको पढ़ने. Even this year, the question of some Alma Atla International, it was in newspaper of 2017 and 18. So understand, you have to read current affairs of last 2 years. So definitely economic survey of 2019 and 20, then 20 and 21. Similarly, the budget of 2019 and 20, 20 and 21. Then standard newspaper, you have to take 2 newspapers into account. One is a Hindu, another is the Indian Express. Why say Indian Express? There is a section in an Indian Express called the explained section. That is very important. That will clear a lot of your concepts. Then you have to keep referring your government websites, PIB. Yojana and Koishata is again a government publication which come monthly. You have to read those articles which are good for means, and some points you can get it from prelim point of view also. Science and Direct and Down to Earth are the 2 important websites you keep referring to. But this time if you see the Science and Tech question, there were around 12 questions out of 28 which one cannot answer. It was not easy questions. It was very tough questions. But if you have a habit of daily looking into these websites, 1 hour, 2 hours, and keep reading newspaper, definitely then it will be an easy job to crack current affairs section. So guys, this was the whole strategy, subject wise. Now, very importantly, we have to see what are the key learnings for Civil Service Examination 2020 which has happened, and how you can apply in UPSC 2021. Firstly, one should be regular in studies and one should have a disciplinary approach while preparing for UPSC 2021. It should not be a weekly or alternate days. Personally, I'm saying it's better to study daily 5 to 6 hours rather than putting 12 to 14 hours on a weekend. And especially for our working class people who are working and they find tough time to cope up, definitely for them, I would say at least put 2 to 3 hours of daily effort. And on weekend, they can increase their effort. Second most important point is that you have to stick with your static subjects. Books, revise and practice a lot. अगर आपने ध्यान से देखा होगा UPSC 2020 पेपर को, if you see the above analysis, there were around 49 questions of easy and medium, around 2 to 3 questions which were medium and hard. So I may say 50% paper was easily attemptable. So when I say 50% question means 100 marks were in your hand. And when you are so confident about 100 marks, 2-3 क्वेश्चन तो और एलिमिनेशन से आप ठीक कर सकते हैं. So it would have been a clear win in UPSC 2020. Same thing will happen in UPSC 2021, guys. It will not be an easy paper. Definitely it will be a ETU. Expect the unexpected. You have to be prepared for it. Third important point is that concepts should be very strong. When I say concepts, I will take this thing while taking an example from UPSC 2020. There was a question in UPSC 2020 about economic statement that if you withdraw 1 lakh rupees from demand deposit account at your bank, the immediate effect on aggregate money supply in the economy will be. And if you see that the same aggregate money supply concept is an NCERT 11 and 12 book, they have given a definition. So when they have given a definition, आपने मग कर लिया, आपने रट्टा मार लिया, but you haven't applied the concept, then you won't be able to solve this question. कि when you withdraw 1 lakh rupees from your demand deposit, what will happen to aggregate money supply? It was a very easy question. And they have in NCERT beautifully explained what is aggregate money supply. That once you withdraw 1 lakh rupees from your demand deposit, though your demand deposit decreases, but your currency held with public will increase because आपके पास तो currency आ गई. So your M1 concept will remain same. So if M1 is same, M3 is M1 plus net time deposit. As net time deposit and other factors are constant, we are assuming those things. So definitely the aggregate money supply will remain unchanged. And it was a clearly and with an example given in NCERT class 12 introductory macroeconomics. So when I say concepts, that what you read you have to apply in your real life. It's very important. And that's why we say the practicing book chapter wise and learning through MCQ is very important. Then only you can remember those concepts rather than just mugging up the facts. Next is most important thing is that you have to read the newspaper daily rather than I have already told you. Just 2 or 3 newspapers more than sufficient. Hindu and Indian Express. Again, don't mug up notes, guys. 2 months before the examination doesn't solve your purpose. I know the current affairs is a bit tricky. The books are lengthy. 8 months is a shortage. It's a very short time. But if you plan it properly and you cover all those books and see, if you even cover your 80% syllabus with the books and you keep on revising those things, you're able to clear UPSC Prelims. It's not about topper. You have to correct 100 questions. You just need to correct 50 to 55 questions. 50%. And if you are able to it, definitely you will be clear. And this year, being the paper so hard, some of the people have managed to score 120 plus score. 60 plus questions after the negative marking. And those people, if you go through and ask them what was the key scenario, I don't know whether they will tell you truth or not. But definitely the books and chapters and definitely the standard are the sources. We have shown you each and every question. If you see 100 questions, each and every question were traceable, explanation were traceable to newspaper, government website or standard books. Next important part, guys, which I have already tell you about, that you have to be passive learning. Instead of passive learning, you have to be a practice active learning. Sorry. So what is passive learning? So see, understand the passive learning से आपको knowledge बहुत बढ़ जाएगी. आपने रट्टा मार लिया, आपको knowledge बढ़ेगी. So what happens? आपको aggregate money supply बतानी है, आप बता देंगे. But आपसे किसी ने question पूछ लिया that you have withdrawn 1 lakh from demand deposit, what will happen to aggregate money supply? And you will be blank. So there's a concept between a passive learning and an active learning, or what we call the active participator. You have to apply all those concepts in your real life and how it affects you. For example, this time the agriculture farm bills are there. How it affects your life. Then only you can answer those questions. And even in mains, you can answer those questions. So, guys, be an active listener, active participator than a passive reader or learner. You can watch a lot of online courses or study from institution, or you can do the standard mock test. But knowledge is unproductive unless you actually apply in your daily life. That's the difference. Next point is, see, there are a lot of standard and mock tests available in the market. I'm not commenting on that. If it suits you, take it. But understand, let's go a little bit back in our school days. Our teacher, our mother, how they teach us. They teach us to read this chapter from geography, this chapter from history, this chapter from polity, this chapter from English. I will take a combined test. No. We used to study ye chapter pahlo and we will take a test. This is the methodology you have to implement. You are reading a one topic, but you are taking 10 topics together and taking a one mock test. It doesn't work now in UPSC. It used to work in 2000, 2005, 2006 in our time, but not this. The competition has increased 10 times, guys. So you need to very sure what kind of test series you want to take it. I will come to that point what kind of test logic, what test preparation methodology it should have. So next point is you have to continuously track and see the weak areas. I will address in test preparation methodology. So what is the guiding and most important principles of preparing for UPSC 2021 is that create a preparation plan, guys, stick to it. As we said, revision, it's a huge syllabus, multiple subject makes retention difficult. Revise regularly using a recall method, practice as much MCQs as you can. Cover all NCRTs as we have given you step by step, each subject wise books also. Don't be passive reading, be an active participator, an active listener and active reader. And after completing your NCRTs, you should go for standard books. See, now I have to address one very important point right now. That why standard mock test is a failure in today's scenario. So see, like 35 tests, lots of institutions give 30 to 35 tests, around 3,500 questions, 3 tests of polity, approximately 300 questions, 2 tests of economy, 200, but it's not sufficient. This year paper was a clear example that without practicing in detail, you cannot clear prelims. There may be a few people on the border stage who might have done it, but remember, this is not a one-day match, this is a test match you have to play. You have to clear mains also, then interview, and bad luck happens if you're not able to clear interview, then you have to go for prelims. If once you do one-time effort of playing or reading all those books and practicing in detail, it would be very cakewalk for you, especially in UPSC prelims. So most of the test series which are available in the institution, if I say I'm doing fundamental rights today, and my weekend there is a test about fundamental rights, fundamental duties, directive principles of state policy, and some geography concept of climatology, some history concept of post-mortem, I'm bound to happen that I will leave that test, because definitely I cannot cover all this thing in 1 week. So what you need is that you need the personalized test series, that once you do fundamental rights, you just attend those fundamental rights portion and make it that that topic is done. You just need to revise it afterwards. This is the way now you have to do it. So that's why we have come up with the test preparation methodology. Before you going through test preparation methodology, I will just 2 minutes will take your time why most of the people fail in UPSC. So average rate of clearing UPSC examination is 3rd and 4th attempt, and that too only 1 to 1.2% get shortlisted in 3rd and 4th attempt. And why it is happening? You guys understand, it's not that only a chunk of 1,000 notes you read it and do it. There's a vast huge syllabus. They are standard 54 to 80 books, and sometimes, as you've seen, like Upinder Singh was not a standard book earlier. Now a lot of institutions may be saying that you have to read it. So it's a huge syllabus, you cannot predict the paper. No availability of personalized and practice tests is there. Standard mock tests are there. That is one of the basic and major problem in this particular industry. Then there is a lack of clarity on preparation status. What are your improvements? What are your strengths? That is a major problem right now. So that becomes a vicious cycle actually. What happens, like either you are preparing, या आप self study करें या आप किसी institution में पढ़ें. What happens is that you need to cover all those books. There will be institutional lectures also, long theoretical courses. After giving 4-5 hours of tuition, आप घर आएंगे, you're not able to revise it, not able to practice it. So ineffectiveness बढ़ेगी. Study decision कोई real data नहीं है कि आपके कौन से topic strong है, कौन से weak है. You cannot practice it. Very less time, no direction, little improvement will happen, demotivation, and you will lose the scope. Understand, out of 10 lakh people, only 6 lakh people sit for the examination, and rest 4 lakh every time they keep on postponing it because of that demotivation. So, what is the student's dilemma in today's scenario is that either there are two types. Either you are self-study or you are taking institutional online courses, the most important thing is you need to practice whatever you are reading. See, you are putting up a lot of things into the and without analyzing. आप ये वही बात है कि आप खाना खाई जा रहे हैं, आपको टेस्ट का नहीं पता, फिर आप अगली बार जब खाना ऑर्डर करेंगे आप कहेंगे नहीं कुछ भी दे दो. It doesn't work like that. You need to evaluate it. Whatever you are reading, you are getting into it, whether you are understanding those concepts or not. So that's why we have come up with the test preparation methodology. So being Sprint UPSC, we are not saying anything that we are making you study or we are saying you will become an IAS officer or what. We are just saying that whatever you are reading, either in self-study or institutional or any online course, just come to the platform and practice it. It's very important. And why it is important? See, not Sprint UPSC, you can take any good branded test series also. You need to have that 4 component in it. It's very important. The first component is convenience. I have given you example that you are reading fundamental rights and on weekend you have a 10 topics test. You generally leave that test. You will leave that test. होगा ही नहीं. आपने फंडामेंटल राइट्स कर लिया, 2 टॉपिक और कर लिया, तीसरा आप ज्योग्राफी का टॉपिक ही नहीं उठा पाओगे. आपके ट्यूशंस भी होंगे, आपके कोर्सेज भी होंगे. आपको टेस्ट ऐसा लो जिसमें कन्वीनियंस हो. यू कैन क्रिएट योर ओन टॉपिक्स. You can select the topic, you can create a short duration test or maybe 20 question or maybe 30 or maybe full length test, or you can combine your topics or books or chapter wise. ये component तो अभी कोई दे भी नहीं है. So that is why the convenience is very important. The second important is that the content of the quality of those test series. See, there are a lot of test series and they have a lot of explanation. Have those test series given the explanation from where they have taken that explanation? वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वो एक्सप्लेनेशन उन्होंने कहां से ली है, क्या उनका लिंक कोई रेफरेंस दी है, वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. क्योंकि गाइज इट्स योर फ्यूचर. यू कैन नॉट लेट एनीवन प्ले टू योर फ्यूचर. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट यू नीड टू हैव ट्रेसेबिलिटी ऑफ ऑल एक्सप्लेनेशन विच यू आर सीइंग, वेदर इन टेस्ट सीरीज और वेदर इन आवर पोर्टल ऑल्सो. थर्ड, वेदर दोज टेस्ट सीरीज or even us are giving you analytical feedback. What are your strong areas? What are your weak areas? Which subject you need to focus on? Which topic you need to focus on? And fourthly, which most of the students face, is that while reading so many books and vast area, they lose the track what they have covered and what they have not covered. It's very impossible that you can track it manually. What you have covered, the topics, there are more than 250 to 500 subtopics also. There are more than 54 to 80 books. There are more than concepts, terminologies. How will you track whether you have covered it or not? So importantly, whether they're giving you real-time data, what you have covered and what you have not covered. Guys, remember, you have to swim across the ocean. You don't have to measure the depth of the ocean. That is very important in UPSC. आपको ऐसे नहीं जाना है, आपको ऐसे पार करके वो मसूरी की एकेडमी में जाना है ट्रेनिंग के लिए. So these are the 4 important test preparation methodology. जहां भी आप टेस्ट सीरीज लें, ये जरूर आप एक याद रखें कि it's very important. So guys, with 16 years of experience of Sprint UPSC. Now I will talk about, we'll take 5 minutes and talk about Sprint UPSC as a platform. With 16 years of experience and cumulative, our team around more than 50 to 100 years of experience. When I talk about cumulative, there are a lot of people who have 10, 15 years of experience in our organization. And taking a lot of feedback from IAS rank holders, toppers, and even failures. The Sprint UPSC have come up with the next generation AI-driven platform. So I will explain you what our platform do and how it's very important, how we address all those test preparation methodologies. So in our platform, you can log in and create a practice test as per your own convenience. You can select any subject which are you doing presently. You can select even the multiple subjects if you want to. So for example, right now you are doing polity and you are doing a topic of fundamental rights. You can do fundamental rights, or you are doing book wise. For example, you are doing Lakshmikant Indian polity and you are taking a chapter of president. You can create the chapter of president, then click next. You can select your length of test as per your own availability, whether you want to take small, medium and full length test. You can check your difficulty level. Our methodology says that first you do easy level, then medium, then go hard. And that is, you will see your improvement in your learning curve. Another methodology, either you can select exam mode or study mode. In exam mode, after one submit the question, the answer explanation is given at the end and it is timed as per the real scenario. And in study mode, answer explanation display as you select the answer and it is not timed. So like I selected and created test. So the test will be created. And after the test is created, you can then select attempt the question. So approximately I have selected small test and there are 25 questions. And the time, as it's not timed, I have selected study mode. You can select the answer and see the side-by-side explanation. Or you can submit the test and you can see the all explanation together. Each question, what I mean to say, is trackable, traceable, and references are there from where this explanation you can find it. So you can even counter whether this explanation is right or wrong. You can raise the report issue. And generally our team takes 24 to 48 hours to reply back. And this is the way each question is leveled also, easy, medium, hard. And plus we are giving some learning insights if the question needed. So that is the first level, that is convenience oriented. Another level is that performance, whether you can check your performance. So in a performance, you can select each subject performance score, accuracy and topic coverage. See, at topic level, one can check his performance. So for example, ancient history, I have in Harappa and Indus Valley civilization, if you see, I have attempted 4 questions till now. 1 is correct, 3 is incorrect. My accuracy level is 25%, my coverage is 11%. So by coverage means there are 99% of question I have not answered which is present in this particular topic. You can increase your coverage and see what have you covered or what you have not covered. You can check the accuracy at the topic level of each subject. And उससे आपको पता लग जाएगा कि where you stand at the end of day. So you will get the performance score after accuracy and topic coverage. Our AI model calculate the performance score of each subject and combine it in total performance score. Here. So once you are in a green zone, that means you are ready. The more than 60 to 70% of accuracy, more than 80% of topic coverage, definitely you are able, now you are ready for an IAS examination. See, all this platform is a web. Android and iPhone have different design. You can download it and see it. And each and every question is translated by our Hindi experts. But definitely, like real scenario, if there is any doubt between Hindi translation and English version, the English version will be considered as a correct one. Though Hindi guys can raise a request and get it corrected. See, another thing is that from here you can check your rank. So we have a leaderboard in which we are right now we have around 10,000 downloads and around 5 to 6,000 active users. And from there you can check your rank of first 250 users. So you can see where you stand. Then through dashboard you can even take a daily quiz. Generally it is a 10 question and you randomly it comes from medium to hard level question. You can see it, submit it in a 10 minutes time and it will give you the broader idea about all subjects, how is it happening. You can attempt in previous year question bank also. Right now UPSC 2020 is live. We are soon will be updating all those questions in next few days. Then you can mark each question your important question which you can revise it later on. They have a study groups. You can create your own study groups between your friend circle and आपस में आप बातें कर सकते हैं, आपस में आप इसमें discuss कर सकते हैं questions and all those things. And even you can earn through it. So every correct answer, we are giving you sprint coins, which is cashable in a cashback form. You can through Paytm, or you can get it credited to your bank, and you can refer our product to anyone. We are not saying you must have to do it. If you like it, you refer it. But if you refer it, we are giving the whatever the subscription he takes it, we are giving you the 10% value of that also. So most importantly, guys, remember that any test preparation methodology, you need to take it 4 things very seriously: convenience, traceability, content quality, analytical feedback and coverage. हिंदी वालों के लिए मैं बताऊंगा, अपने अकॉर्डिंग ये पेपर बनाने की क्षमता आप में होनी चाहिए, वो आपको टेस्ट सीरीज देनी चाहिए, वो पर्टिकुलर फीचर. मेरी हिंदी इतनी अच्छी नहीं है, मैं कई वर्ड्स बोल रहा हूं, सॉरी फॉर दैट. सेकेंडली, क्वालिटी ऑफ कंटेंट बहुत अच्छा होना चाहिए कि वो हर क्वेश्चन आप देख सको कौन सी बुक से है, या कौन से पेपर से है, न्यूज़पेपर, या कौन से वेबसाइट में है. थर्डली, क्या आपके स्ट्रॉन्ग एरियाज, क्या आपके वीक टॉपिक्स हैं, वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. एंड फोर्थली, कि आपका कवर कितना हो गया, आपका सिलेबस कितना हो गया, आपके हर सब्जेक्ट के कितने कितने टॉपिक्स हो चुके हैं और कितने हैं, वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. एंड वी हैव नॉट स्टॉप्ड इट हियर गाइस, वी हैव गॉन अहेड वन स्टेप. We have given a platform to the psychologists, renowned psychologists in India and abroad, and want to address few things, and they have come up with the 2 unconscious behavior which students face. I will go with the second one first. Tendency to revise what you instead of focusing on weak areas. So generally our habit is, हम वही चीज रिवाइज करते हैं जो हमें आती है, हम उसको देखते नहीं जो हमारे वीक एरियाज हैं. That is our tendency human. That problem will be solved through this test preparation methodology. And UPSC generally check most of the weak areas the student faces. So, उससे क्या होता है, आपको एक false sense of insurance आएगी. Does not help to improve performance in actual exam, because if you keep on revising your strong areas and you are leaving your weak areas, you are just fooling yourself. And so it's very important that whatever test methodology you are opting here, or any test series, the continuously track and improve your performance is must there. Know your weak and strong areas, topic level, at topic level I must say. And make a study decision based on that real data. And don't just depend upon your gut feeling. That doesn't work. Yes, it works once you have covered your 80% of coverage. So once you have done, once your portal is saying that yes, you are ready for an IS examination, you have done 80 to 90% of coverage, believe in your gut feeling. Then another habit they talk about is recognition instead of recall. Most of the habit we are taking, mugging up notes, I have already explained, you keep on mugging up notes. It's more convenient. You don't want to read the books because it makes you lack of confidence and all this. But that is not UPSC will happen in 2021 even. So practicing recall by practicing question, it's very important. It will improve your attention over the 50%, and that is all you need in the end of the day. And it will help you differentiate the concept to answer the analytical question. I've given you the example of basic aggregate money supply. If you know that you can apply that concept, then only you can answer. So that's why it's very important. So guys, thank you. We will be taking your questions through your email. You can send us an email and we will reply in 24 to 48 hours. It's a long session. Thanks for you to participate in that.